Green, blue, and gray, that's what we rock. Hawk Tawk, ride with us. Glad to hear y'all dropped in. Hawk Tawk, slide with us. Walk and take it locked in, and let's go.
Hey guys, what's going on? It's Dave and it's Walt. Look at Walt. Oh, dialed, bro. What? So is it coaching two different teams that made you decide to do that?
No, it was a long time coming, I guess. Kind of been on the fence here and there. Uh, the wife wanted me to cut it. The kids wanted me to cut it. So the kids have never seen me with short hair before. They just only
Okay.
seen pictures. So I've been growing it for like the past 7 years or so.
Yeah,
And
you hear those twists going, man. That was sporty.
I just woke up one morning and was like, I'm gonna go cut it.
Anyhow, guys. Hey, this is Hawk Talk. This is week two. You know what? We were talking before the show started. We took a good little time off, maybe a couple months. What do
Yeah,
you
I mean,
think?
'cause everything's kind of down where we won off the Super Bowl, and
Yeah,
everyone's kind of taking their time and they're taking their trips, and there's not much Seahawk news until free agency kicks back up. So, hey, we're back
right.
in.
Now we're back in it. And that was the thing is, we were wanting to talk about the Super Bowl, but everyone's talking about the Super Bowl, like you're saying, everyone's taking their time off, and no one was really around, and so we figured we'd do the same thing. And I'll tell you though, well, I had so many people reach out to us, and I don't know if you've gotten the same thing, but going, hey, when's Hawk Talk coming back on? And I know we've done a kind of a seasonal thing in the past, but I'd really like to really kind of continue to do this, and some people enjoy hearing from us and enjoy watching the show. And the key thing is, and I think you'll agree with this, is they get the player's perspective.
Yeah.
I've done so many shows. There's one show I'm not doing anymore, and all we did was read the headlines to the people. I was like, what's entertaining about that? They've been hearing it all week on ESPN, and we just read it back to them. And so that's what's so cool about this show is you and I and our friends and our brothers that play the sport like to come in and add value and share their stories. And that's what we got tonight, man. So real quick before we get started, but we got Jared Bunch, first round draft pick out of Michigan to the Giants. We've got Chase Kaufman, a third round draft pick to the Bengals, tight end, and he came in 15. Of course, you in the fourth round, right, to the Seahawks in 2010. And then our brother Matt Vanderbeek, who was a free agent. And I've got all my notes here because we've never had this many guests. In 1990 with the Colts, and then went on to win a Super Bowl with the Cowboys, and each are going to share their perspective of what draft day was like. And you don't get a chance to hear that on too many different shows. So, but what did you think about our draft? What did you think about the Seahawks draft?
I thought it was pretty solid.
Yeah,
I think it was very solid. I mean, they addressed the needs that we're looking at of not re-signing guys in free agency, and I thought they did a decent job. I mean, you'll have to go through the tape to see how some of these DBs play, but obviously they have some great scouts. Snyder has a great eye looking for talent, so we took quite a few DBs in this draft, which we need to kind of refill on some of our DBs here. So yeah, I think it was solid. It was very solid.
yeah. And I didn't really, frankly, realize that we got thin in the backfield. That I know we kept the majority of our strengths, but Jadarian, I mean, that was a no brainer. I mean, it fit 100% of a need, but not just with this is what's left. It was, I mean, that was a really solid pick.
I mean, yeah, number
Um,
two running back right on the board. So it's, I mean,
yeah,
fell to us, and you gotta take him.
yeah, I think he can step right in and contribute right away. Now, what did you think about Bud Clark, the safety out of TCU?
Again, like I
Yeah,
said, I mean, I'm gonna have to watch some more tape on some
all
of these
right,
DBs here. But I mean, I know he's part of the national championship team. So I know he understands what it takes to win and being able to play at a high level and going through the playoffs. So I mean, you're getting a highly skilled veteran guy from that regard.
right.
And I think we have some great leaders there that can that they can pull him underneath his wing and kind of allow him to hold his own there.
Yeah, and then we picked up 3 more cornerbacks too.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, so hopefully one of them, you know, is able to step in and fill that void.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with any of.
Julian Neal. I mean, the third round. I mean, he's they're looking at him to come in and compete for a position on the field.
Yeah.
Whether it's in that nickel spot, coming in on third down outside the first and second down, or coming in to start out the gate. So I mean, they're looking at him to compete for a starting position there. The other guys are going to have opportunities to earn their space on the roster and on their space on the team to get playing time. But I know they're probably looking at Julian as being that one of those guys to come in and help contribute right away.
Yeah, and he's the one that kind of spoke up and said, "Hey, I'm a dude," right? I mean, he self-proclaimed, saying, "I'm a shutdown." I mean, I'm going to come in.
You're dude until you get out there. It's it's not college anymore. So
well, he's coming in with the right attitude, that's for sure.
Yeah, he's coming in with confidence. I mean, confidence is half the battle, right? Not
Yeah.
making it, try not to make it bigger than what it is. But I mean, those guys are elite, and you're going to get some of the best receivers. You're going to get one of the best receivers, in the league, with JSN there. So I mean, he's gonna have his moments of welcome to the NFL. But, just gotta stay confident, and it's a long season, and you just gotta keep working the crafts.
Yeah, and then I think you picked up a solid an old lineman, a guard out of Iowa.
Yeah.
Because I would tell you that if we have a weak link on the offensive line, it's our right guard. And then his name's going to elude me right off the top, but he actually had games where he really struggled. And hang on one second, I'll get a message from one of our guests here. Oh, Chase is in the waiting room,
Yep.
Pete. All right. So hang on one second. Let me get back to the screen. This is me multitasking, which I do not do well. You know that. Here we go. Look at it. All right. Hey, do I disappear when I'm checking a text?
On my end, you do, yeah.
Oh, okay. So I was gone. Did you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. But all right. That's all interesting facts. All right. Hey, anyways, so all right. So that's our draft. Like I said, we've got some great guests. I'm not quite sure 100% who is all here. I know. Pete, if you could bring our guests in that are on. And we can introduce them, and then we're waiting on Jared Bunch, and hopefully he is able to join us. But right off the top, on the screen we have Matt Vanderbeek, who was a free agent. What year were you a free agent, Matt?
1990
with the Colts, right?
Yes.
Yep. Hey, and this is really awesome, guys. I've known all you guys on this screen for years, and I know you played, and I know most of you like where you played, but I didn't realize what great careers you had. I mean, Matt went on to win a Super Bowl with the Cowboys. Walt, of course, we all know because this is Hawk Talk. We all know that Walt went on to win a Super Bowl with the Hawks, and then my other brother, Chase Kaufman, was the John Mackey Award for tight ends. Was the top tight end in the nation with Missouri.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, look at me. I'm remembering stuff and everything. This is awesome. This is a good show already. Hey, and then you were a third round pick to the and I got to read my notes. Where were you a third round pick?
The Bengals.
The Bengals. But you ended up on the sunny side of the road in 2015.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were with the Hawks for a season just after Walter left.
Yes, the second half of that season. It was a good second half to the season. I came from the Titans, and we were just about the worst team that year. And the Seahawks were coming off back-to-back Super Bowl appearances. I figured I might go just from worst to first that year.
Yeah, but you didn't. So where did the Seahawks finish in 15?
We lost to the Panthers when they went to the Super Bowl at Carolina. Was that the divisional round of the playoffs?
Okay, all right. So you guys did all right then.
Yeah.
All right. You got a couple more checks that year. That's good.
A couple more game checks. Beat Minnesota in the third coldest game in
Minnesota. Yep.
Yeah, missed four.
Right. well, okay. So we all know cold, but I mean, I've played in some snow games, but then there's the third coldest game in NFL history. What was that like, especially as a tight end when you're trying to catch a ball, and do stuff?
I felt like I could like put my hands in that space heater and not feel them get burnt off.
So, hey,
Just numb.
huh?
Yeah, somebody's got to win. So I mean, either you're gonna get paid another check and have a chance at a Super Bowl run or not. So might as well try it.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. So let's go through kind of the pecking order. Of course, we don't have our first rounder here, Jared Bunch. He didn't have to wait long to get a phone call. But and I went in the 12th round. So me and Matt are in the same. We're in the same pool. I mean, 12th round is a free agent. I mean, it's really. I wasn't the last guy getting picked, but I was down there. And so, Matt, as a free agent, as you're sitting through the draft, did you have expectations of being drafted?
Shoot, of course, I think every agent that you talk with say, hey, you're going to be a third rounder for sure. And then third round comes and goes. I was actually, I think it was I think they used to have the draft on Saturday. And I remember it was a Sunday and they had all the rest of the picks, I believe. And my dad was putting in a sprinkler system. So I was helping them outside. And you come back in and the phone was there and nothing, and they're already through. This was back when they had 12 rounds. So but towards the end I started getting a few phone calls, and it was more of hey, we want you to come to our camp, not going to get drafted, but hey, we have interest in you. And so over the next day or so, I had about 4 teams that were interested in me. And that's actually better, than being drafted, because you have at least a little bit of a choice
Right.
there. If you have some interest, rather than, okay, I'm going to, so and so team, and you don't have any kind of choice. So there was a little bit of a bidding war for me. So I ended up choosing the Colts because they paid my highest signing bonus, which was $11,000,
Yep.
which was awesome at the
Yeah.
time, but really just to get the opportunity to get into camp, which a lot of my fellow teammates at Michigan State would have died for, right?
Yeah.
Just to get the opportunity, to get into camp with somebody and to try out. And that's really all you need is an opportunity.
Yeah. So very, very similar to your story, and it's not going to be like these two young guys. I was drafted in '88, and our phone was attached to a wall with a cord. And of course my agent, much like yours, oh Dave, you got 7th round. You played in the Hula Bowl, you did all this stuff, you did your size. Well, that day went away, and I woke up Sunday morning, and I told my brother, you know what, let's get out of here, man. Let's go play some basketball. And then the phone started ringing, right? And it's the Rams, and it's Green Bay, and it's we're interested in who are you talking to? It's my parents talking to them. They're like, no one's calling. We don't know what's going on, you know. And so I get home from basketball, and they're like, Seahawks took you in the 12th round, which is a team I never spoke to. And of all the teams, being a San Diego, Southern California boy, I did not want to go to. I mean, it's cold, it's rainy, and all that stuff. And then and son of a gun, and just like you, I think my bonus was like 12 grand, which was like, today's market is totally crazy. But wait, I think uh, Walter, were you able to read that message from Jared or from Pete about Jared trying to hop in?
No, I'm saying if he is in, send him in.
Oh, okay. So Chase, tell us about then what your experience was like. I mean, being the top rated tight end in the nation, being an All-American, you had to have some expectations.
Yeah. I
What did
mean,
that look like?
yeah, you kind of mentioned a couple of things of winning the John Mackey Award, being All American, having some pretty high prospects, and going into it with like, man, this is happening. It's just how early and where. I had kind of the pick of agents, as you will, you know, it's not like I really had to fight for too much of that, but I broke my foot the very last offensive play of our bowl game in overtime, and I did not get to do anything other than show up in my tights and get poked by doctors and you know team staff at the combine, which was miserable. Didn't get to do anything but that same exact thing at my pro day at Missouri. And so I really just had to go on the fact that I hope that they feel like my tape is good enough and that my red flags are not that red, and just hope for the best place that's the best fit. Um, the year that I came up with the draft, it was a 2-day draft. So they did the very first 2 rounds day one, and then everything else day two. And I was, you know, kind of I didn't really know what was to expect. I was obviously hoping to go as early as possible, but didn't get picked up that first day. Then waited till the very last pick in the third round, and actually had a you know the Chiefs at the time. I'm from Kansas City. The Chiefs traded Tony Gonzalez to the Falcons that offseason, so I was like, oh man, like this is a really good opportunity for me to maybe stay home with a team I grew up rooting for, and actually had a number that was an 816. That's the area code here. Call me, and it was an old high school buddy that was just wishing me luck and seeing what like I kind of rushed him off the phone, feel bad. And then I think it's a 513, the Cincinnati got that call, and they were on there, and just, you know, it was kind of a whirlwind. And I don't I don't remember all that much of it other than, all right, where is Cincinnati in Ohio? What's the coaching staff? What does the team look like, and how might I fit, so I can get over there and get ready. So that was, like I said, a whirlwind of a draft experience, and honestly not that fun and enjoyable because of having to go through it with a broken foot and not really being able to put your best foot forward.
Literally. Yeah.
Literally.
No, literally.
Yeah.
So, so you were in the newer era of the draft with the 2-day draft. You know, not. I think my draft was like a week long, 12 rounds. I don't know how long it went on for, but it was amazing. I think maybe it was 3 days. I'm not sure, to be exact. But now, were you getting any calls? Because we all see today. We all see today the draft. Those of us that watch it, we see the green room and what that is. And then we see cameras at all the cats' homes, you know, that are maybe like top 2 rounds. Was there any hoopla around, you know, what your expectation was, or was it just you and your family just waiting for a call?
Yeah, it was me and my family.
All right.
My girlfriend, who is my wife now, and a couple friends and old coaches and whatnot kind of stopped in and just checking in, saying hi. But golly, when, I mean, 5 minutes, 8 minutes, whatever the rounds are, like that's a freaking long time when you're waiting and hoping that you're going to be the next one. I wasn't really getting many calls during and throughout the draft. Those first 3 rounds, I've only taken one pre-draft visit to the Eagles, and they ended up taking a tight end about 10 or 11 picks after me. But they did end up drafting my good buddy and teammate Jeremy Macklin in the first round that year. And I think that's one of the, I mean, I remember them specifically asking me about that and him when I was on that visit. So I know that you guys probably already know like the different types of, you know, secretive ways that they're scouting everybody and learning more about people so they can get their guys.
Absolutely. Hey, and Jared, hey, great. Well, he was here. There he is. Of course, as soon as I call his name, he goes off. You know, And Jared, just so you know, I blame everything on Pete. So you can't do anything wrong. I'm just convinced that Pete just messes with me to make me feel old and concussed. But so speaking of old, Jared, hey, the good news is I'm the oldest one on this deal. But me and Matt kind of shared from back in the day, pre cell phone, all these things, and share with us your experience. I mean, coming out of Michigan, highly touted, and a first round draft pick to the Giants. But what was your day like? Was there any similarities to what it's like today with the big green room and the hoopla? What surrounded you, and what was your day like being an anticipated first rounder?
Well, I wasn't like anticipated by everybody to be a first rounder. All it was I was going to be the first fullback taken, whatever
Okay.
that meant. So if a team didn't need a fullback, I wasn't going. So they had me first to third. But some teams had me as a running back. Most had as a fullback. And the morning of the draft, you know how they always give out a pre in the USA Today. They give a pre pick what they think is going to happen, and they had me going 19 to either I think it was Miami or Washington at number 19. So I thought for sure, oh shoot, number 19, I'm going to, I'm going, and the at that time the first round was going, and the first pick was supposed to be um, Rocket Ismail.
Mm,
And Rocket decided to go to Canada because they gave him at that time, a huge amount of money
okay.
guaranteed. And he decided to go to, so then it became what's going to happen? Who's going to go where? They didn't know who was going. So Russell Maryland became the first number one pick, defensive tackle. And so when it was a defensive tackle, they were like, "Oh shoot, where are all the different positions going to go?" Because a defensive tackle going the number one pick, they knew he was going to be top, but they didn't know he was going to be the first number one pick. So it was like, all right, now who's scrambling to get offensive players, defensive players, linemen, whatever. And so there wasn't that pre-draft that was set, because automatically everybody thought that Rocket was going to be the first one to go. And when he made that decision the night before, so I woke up and didn't know what. I didn't care. All I said was whoever wanted to take me first,
Right.
that's where I wanted to go. And you know, as a fullback, that I never played anything but fullback in college. So I was like a straight fullback. You had a lot of guys that played fullback and halfback that got drafted early, but straight fullback, he didn't know where it was going to be. And so when the pick started going, and then that team that was on USA Today saying that they were going to take me, my phone didn't ring, and I was like, oh man.
Uh,
And their pick, and they said the so and so pick is in, nah, and they picked somebody else. And then the next team, I was looking, who needs a fullback? Who needs a fullback? And we had the house was full, and it's like, oh, they don't need one, or they need this, they need that. And at that time, 3 hours was the longest first round draft that had existed in the history of the draft. Now 3 hours
wow.
is nothing. 3 hours is nothing. But at
Yeah.
that time, they made the announcement, and then the last pick was coming up, and I was like, well, and my phone didn't ring, and the Buffalo Bills picked, and then they said, well, the New York Giants are on the clock. And right after they said they're on the clock, then they said, well, the Giants pick is in. And I was like, well, who's picking first in the second round? Because my phone didn't ring. So I'm just sitting there, and I was like, well, gosh. And I found out that the Giants drafted me with the pick came in, and They said then with the 27th and final pick of the first round, New York Giants select Jared Bunch, fullback, running back,
Well,
University of Michigan. Yeah.
right. I mean, and that's what ended up happening, right? I mean, you ended up being the offensive player of the year for the Giants.
The second year, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the second year. Okay.
My second year.
I thought it was the rookie year.
Yeah, I wish it would have been. Yeah, no, but it was, I mean, it was so, I made some mistakes. I made some mistakes in my approach, listening to people,
Mm,
you know, and when you're that young and you don't know, and you know, so I knew that in college that I played fullback, but I was switched to fullback when I got to college. I played running back in high school. Everybody plays running back in high school. But when I got to Michigan, we had the number one running back in Michigan, the number one running back in Florida, the number one running. My recruiting class was the number one recruiting class in the country, and we had about 4 Mr. whatever that state was. Running, right? And here I was with coming on from a high school, Ashtabula High School, that never had anybody go to get a scholarship to a Division I school. Our record was 2-8, and when I was a freshman, actually I was in the 8th grade. Our school won the first game in 5 years. So that was the program that I was, you know, a part of.
right. Yeah.
It
Not highly recruited.
No, it was nothing. So when people started talking to me about, you know, you should be happy that you're gonna get drafted, and I was saying, yeah, but the whole my 5th year, before it started, they had me as the number one ranked fullback. So I was like, okay, I should be able to go pro, right? And then I had some people saying that he wasn't that, you know, he's all right, blah, 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 you know, that. And I let people, and so it was like, oh, I'm gonna show them. Instead of me just going out and playing, it was all about me being mad at somebody who thought, oh, he's just this or he's just that, and I let that.
Hey, I'll tell you what, guys. If you didn't know Jared and done a little research on Jared, go find a picture of Jared. Everyone's heard about the Nigerian Nightmare, but Jared had shoulder pads like a lineman, and that cat ran people. Like you explained it right there. You were pissed off, and it showed on the field, man. I remember watching you. I remember going, oh, I would not know what to do if you were coming through that hole. You know.
Yeah. You know, sometimes when I used to, sometimes when I would watch film, it looked like I was so much bigger than the other guys on the field.
Yeah.
And I was like, man.
Well, what, Jared? What way did you play it?
No, so when I got to Michigan, I weighed 210. When I graduated, I weighed 248. So I just gradually went up every year, except my senior year and the 5th year, I weighed 248, 242, 248.
So you're about what, 6'2", so you're 6'2", 250 coming through that hole.
Yeah, 6'2".
Pissed off.
Yeah, but nowadays that's not that. I mean,
it's still big.
No, yeah. I mean, that's about Derrick Henry's size.
Yeah, see,
maybe got an inch on you.
It's not like, you know, back then they would always have a few guys.
All right, hey, we got a linebacker. Matt Vanderbeek. Tell me how you would feel with 6'2", 250 coming through the hole.
Shoot, my experience, same thing. I was like 207 coming out of high school, and then you know, little by little, as much as I could possibly eat every year to try to gain weight to get up to where everybody else was. Yeah, I graduated Michigan State at 247, but I love going against big guys. You know, the fast ones, forget it. You know, like Thurman Thomas, forget it. You can't even touch him, right? He doesn't even want to come close to you. I love the guys that, hey, put their head down and let's come get it. But that's the way it was back then. It's a little bit different now. Shoot, I'm fortunate. I, wouldn't have probably made it at all these days, but back then, yeah, we had I formation and you had fullbacks and you'd line it up and you'd have those big old guards coming out after you. You had to be big to be able to hit them, to be able to get separation. And then here comes a fullback that's going to hit you, that's 250. But that's the way it was back then. And, I was built for it. People back then were built for it. It's just a little bit different now. You see how fast those guys are.
Well, I'm going to agree with you in the facet that my last 2 seasons, they were Montreal, they weren't the NFL, but I got up to 360, and I did not like the 6 foot 210 little rush ends that they put out there. I what are you going to do with that guy? First of all, I couldn't get down that low, right? And then I couldn't catch him. I'd rather a guy try and bull rush me, try and hit me, try and do something. But man, as soon as you put some speed out there, man, I struggle. But hey, so the last person, and not least by any means, is my brother Walter, and came out of Oregon in the 4th round to Seattle in 2010. What was your draft? What was your draft weekend, draft day, draft expectations, all of that like?
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of similar to like Chase. Like my senior year, 4th game of the season, I tear my ACL, MCL, PCL. At that point, kind of playing as like, one of the top corners in the position, probably projected like in that 1st, 2nd round. So, kind of going through that situation of going to the combine, not having the opportunity to show the ability, relying just on the game tape. I happened to be a 4-year starter, and hopefully that was sufficient enough, to give me, allow me to be drafted. But again, I'm at the combine. I'm getting poked and prod and seeing all the medical doctors, and they're testing the durability of the knee and how strong and tough it is, and you're doing the meetings, but they're just trying to see, like Jay said, how many red flags do you have and how big are the flags, right? And so you're just kind of really just in this limbo type of aspect, understand, kind of looking at it as like, knowing the body of work that I had put out up until that point and the potential that was there. Now that's kind of just all completely thrown out the window, and now just kind of at the mercy of how the teams are going to view the injury, how they're going to view the progress in there. So I get very optimistic, kind of looking at the situation of like, knowing where I fit in the draft as for my position and amongst my peers. And obviously that competitive nature is like, you've seen the first day go by, you've seen the second day, and this is a 3-day draft, right? So then, the name's not, being called. So like that Saturday morning, the beginning of the 4th round, it was, because I think it was 1st round that Thursday, 2nd and 3rd round that Friday, and the beginning of the 4th through 7th, at my mom's house. And I think we're probably getting ready to go get something to eat, and, kind of get the phone call from a 424 number, and it's Pete on the phone, and him and I had, Oregon USC rivalry there, and one of the first things he says is, there's no more Ducks and no more Trojans, it's just Seahawks, and, kind of water in the bridge and kind of move forward there. And for me, it was, okay, now I know where I'm going, right? And that's just the battle's just beginning. Now I have to get into a camp, and I'm not going to be participating in rookie mini camp. I'm not going to be participating in any mini camp. So now I'm having to wait in rehab and waiting for the opportunity of a fall camp, try to make the team. And there was kind of some understanding of like knowing like I'm coming off the knee. They had some other guys that were in there, so like maybe had a little leeway of having ability to be able to make the team because of the injury, and understanding that I'm still coming into like this rehab phase. But for me, just being competitive is just I'm my second game. I'm trying to get my second win, and I had this big old knee brace on my knee, in training camp, and that's just a red flag to send nothing but go balls to the corner with a Gondre knee brace on them. And so it forced me to kind of take a different level of like aspect of my technique and my craft, of, not as quick as I once was, not as fast right now, because I'm still in this rehab phase, being 9 months out. And so it's really just allowed me to be more disciplined in my technique and my craft, allow me to take another step into like just in the playbook, if you will, to kind of put myself in better position. And then just kind of just really just going out there to compete, have the opportunity to be the third corner, in that rookie season, coming off the knee, and getting on some special teams and started a couple times. And that next year was 2011 was a lockout. So down now that was like an aspect of like now I feel 100% now in kind of the best shape, best version that I could be going into that space. And it's just all I asked for was just the opportunity to compete. It didn't matter the team or where I got drafted, and especially knowing the circumstance of it's just completely out of my hands. There's nothing I could do, and just looking for that opportunity to get my foot in the door. And once I had that shot and just go out there and compete, I don't care if I was fifth on the depth chart or higher up. It was just I was going to earn my spot, and I was able to do that.
Yeah, I tell you what, I don't know about you guys, but to be not able to play and still drafted in the 4th round, I think they saw some talent. I mean, because guys that are 100% aren't getting drafted in the 4th round, and for you to not even be able to play or prove yourself in any of the OTLs, the camps, or anything, knowing that you may not be ready for the season. I mean, that's got to speak. That speaks highly to your talent and probably the character that they saw in you. So that's pretty awesome. Hey, Chase, real quick, any stories that you want to share about the draft? Like for me, it was out playing basketball with my brother and not caring, but I really did care. But I was butthurt, so I was like, whatever. Being a kid. Any stories about the draft, and then overall, were you satisfied with the draft?
Heck no. Like Walter's talking about, like, man, that was probably like the most as a young man that you're wanting to compete, you're wanting to show out, you're wanting to be able to put, again, like, no pun intended, put your best foot forward, and not be able to do that and just rely on, well, what do people think of me, and what does the tape look like, and then see a couple other tight ends go in front of me. Like, man, like those guys, like, they're fast, or they're this, or they're that. They obviously can't play like me. They didn't put the stats up, they didn't do this. And as we all know, I mean, that what happens in college is, there's a lot of right place, right time, and getting picked to a place that'll utilize you.
Yeah.
There's very few people that can just go in, and it doesn't matter the scheme, it doesn't matter the team. And it honestly, there's this, like, here's the need, here's the best available. And I felt like Cincinnati picked the best available on the board and not necessarily the fit. So it was just fighting and scrapping and clawing to try to get that opportunity for as long as I could, and stay around and prove myself for as long as I could. The draft day was, again, it was a tough day and a half.
Yeah. So, real quickly, what was your year like with the Seahawks in 15?
Let's see. So,
This is a Seahawks show. We got to talk Seahawks. So
yeah. So my year at the Seahawks, we had so my wife and I have 3 kids. We had our second child, I think, week 6 of the season in Nashville. I get cut on a Saturday. A couple weeks later, brought back Monday. Cut again on a Saturday. Supposed to be brought back Monday, and head coach gets fired. A lot of turmoil there. They wanted me back. My tight ends coach, Mike Malarkey, ended up being the interim head coach and saying, "Hey, we want you back, but obviously things are crazy." I was like, "I get it." After the trade deadline, somebody's going to be able to pick me up off waivers if they want me, and there's a few teams asking. And so, for right now, I'm going to move my family back home because we got two babies under 20 months, and I'm going to take a workout with the Seahawks. I've prayed about it. They're one of 3 teams that are asking, and I've honestly just, like, they're in a hot streak, and I've never been to the great Northwest, so I'm gonna try my luck up there. And had a good workout, good tryout. They said they didn't like me enough or dislike anybody on the team enough to cut them and make space for me. So they'll give me a call if something does happen. A couple weeks later, Jimmy Graham tore his patellar tendon, and they called me back and said, "Are you healthy?" And I flew back up there. That was actually the week we played at Minnesota. So Minnesota was playing at the University of Minnesota that year because their dome had collapsed and they were building their new stadium. So we played there, just crushed them. Came back home to Seattle, and my wife and our babies were at home here in Kansas City with some family support. They flew up Monday night after we got back, after we went through meetings, and I'd signed a lease that day, just month to month, um, fully furnished. You know, like you guys know the drill on that. You got to pay a little bit more, but there's a lot of variability in what the job is. Next day, they call me in and cut me. It's like, what is going on? I think that was the fourth or fifth time I got cut just that year.
Wow.
So, I was like, you know what? Let's just enjoy the Seattle area, and like you guys that have been in Seattle, you kind of know it. Like it never gets below freezing. So compared to being in the Midwest, whatnot, it was pretty nice. It stays green out there. It's a beautiful area of the country. So we just hung out and kind of laid low, and ends up the next week they called me back Monday again and said, "Hey, we had somebody get hurt. We want to bring you back." I'm like, "Well, still right down the street. I'll be up there in a minute." So, ended up that year, went into the playoffs as a wild card. It still had a really good record. The Cardinals had won the division, but the very last game of the season, we just cleaned them up too. And so it's just like, hey, all right, we're going back to Minnesota. And that night before the game, Pete Carroll, I forget how old he was at the time, but I mean, 70s something. He runs across the front of the team meeting room, dives through a whiteboard, and just like, if you can't get pumped up for a playoff game like this, like you shouldn't be here. Everybody's going crazy. So it was neat. We ended up pulling that one out in Minnesota, and then going down and had a couple early turnovers in Carolina, and they got up like I think 21 nothing on us in the first quarter. And I mean the whole sentiment in the locker room, and Walter, I imagine it was the same years before that, was just like, hey, look, as long as there's time on the clock, we got a chance. Russell Wilson was always really good to me, brought me in, and anything that I needed help with, like learning the playbook, kind of bringing into the offense, and being a part of that offense, and part of the team. He was pretty helpful in that, and it was a good tight end room. It was just a great. I always say, like, the leaders on that team, they were great players. They were all stars, and they did a lot of the leading. And I mean, Pete was a great leader as well, great coach. But I think he meshed really well with the style of leadership right there at that time.
No, that's great. That's a great Pete Carroll story. There's so many great Pete stories, and I've had the opportunity to meet him a handful of times on alumni
Yeah.
trips and things of that nature. And he is just a genuine. You can't help but smile when you're around him, because he
Yeah.
just loves. You can just tell he loves to have fun. He loves the game. He loves the players. But I think that's hilarious. The fact he just ran through a whiteboard to
I
get you
mean,
guys jacked up. A bunch of professionals sitting around. Hey, so Matt, you shared that you're actually, you were actually pleased with the outcome of not being drafted, because like all of us, we had to go somewhere. And believe me, I was not looking forward to going to Seattle, growing up in Southern California, and going to San Diego State, where all I owned were shorts and tank tops. I didn't have a jacket. I'll tell you, at San Diego State, guys, if it started raining, coaches say take it in. So I didn't know nothing from
Nice and
weather.
easy.
Yeah, I didn't know nothing from weather. Anyhow, but any memories of the draft? I mean, when you look back at it, I mean, anything that maybe was a disappointment, or that, or even a story of, that that you kind of reflect back on that we want to share?
For me,
Yeah.
with the shoot, it's I think leading up to the draft, you go to the combine, you have all that, you have the senior bowls and stuff like that. So, really the combine is all 40 speed. How much can you bench? What were your injuries in the past? All the doctors standing up there with some shorts on and nothing else in front of all this room of
Yep.
people and videotape and all of that kind of stuff, to where you're just kind of finished with all that stuff. So it was nice to you actually get to a place and do some kind of football activity, to where when you got there, none of that stuff mattered. 40 time, nobody cares about your 40 time once you're in camp, and nobody cares about anything else but you move on to the next, right? So I think that when you hear about this, especially these days, everything's about, starting from, they got the whole thing taped now, it's live, everybody on there. But I think for a lot of these players, you get kind of sick of it, and you just want to get on the field and show what you got. Fortunately for me, I was able to, be healthy going into that. And just by chance getting on a team that you know I knew right away. I knew after being in camp, I was a defensive end, and the only reason I played defensive end was because Percy Snow was ahead of me at Michigan State, so they moved me to another outside linebacker. Carlos Jenkins came in the following year, so they moved me behind Percy. So I knew I'd never play at linebacker. So they moved me to defensive end, and I ended up getting on the field and being able to play. Well, that allowed me to get to Indianapolis with a shot, and I tried gaining as much weight as I could during that spring season, and got up to like 265 playing the defensive end. But once you started counting the defensive ends and seeing how big that they were when I was there, and no offensive tackle was worried about my bull rush because I was just too small. So they'd sit back on me. So, it's kind of defeating when you're there and in the first week that I'm going to get cut. There's no way I'm going to make this team. And they came to me about the second weekend and said, hey, we're going to move you to middle linebacker. I thought for sure I was being cut right then, but they said middle linebacker, and I was like, oh, awesome. I love middle linebacker. So, and again, at the time, they had I formation, fullbacks, big guards coming at you, and I was 265, and I could still run. So at that weight, but we had Jeff Harrod was holding out on a contract dispute. And so he was out of camp. The guy that was backing him up the year before came into camp 30 pounds overweight. So, they're looking for somebody and don't have that spot. So they put me there, and I just took off. So it was awesome. But for me to be able to plan that beforehand, like, there's no way that I could look back and have done this by myself whatsoever. It's just being in the right place at the right time with the right team. I could have been with 29, 31 other teams and maybe not gotten the shot that I did, there. So just getting in and getting your shot and the football, right? Not bench press, not 40 time, not all of that kind of stuff. So, you find football players that love to play, and get me on the field. How do I get on the field? I'm going to figure it out.
I mean, that's happened with so many players, and that is, released, and then, Steve Largent was cut and let go, and then, ends up being a Hall of Famer. So, it's perseverance and just being, as you said, the right place at the right time. And, I look back at my career thinking, because like you're saying, I'm looking at that guy. Oh, I'm better than that guy. I'm better than that guy. you know what? But they're on different teams, and it fit their scheme. And so for where I was and what happened, frankly though, and I love you all, and I love all my brothers that played, but I'm glad I didn't play 7 years because these helmets behind me have scars so deep in them you couldn't replicate it with a helmet. Cause I love to hit people at 360 pounds. I had DBs saying, "Oh hell no, 73! I seen you on film," and run away from me. So I loved that, and so I think God saved me because I'd be sitting here drooling right now if I had played 7 years. I'm sure of it. So Jared, I'm going to ask the first rounder. Obviously, if you go in the first round, there's not much you can look back and say, "Gee whiz, I wish I would have gone number 12 instead of 27." But you know so the draft went well for you, but when you look back at it, would you consider it a great experience? And then also because you in today's draft would have most likely been sitting in that green room while as we watch these young men, go down, go down, go down, and in your heart can't help but go out to them. You can only imagine what that might have been like for you. But can you touch on the green room today, and then just share a couple of things?
It would be rough because they asked me if I wanted to go to New York, and I was like, no, bro. If I don't go in
No.
the first, yeah, if I don't go in the first, there's no, you guys, nobody's telling me I'm guaranteed to go in the first round. I don't want to
Yeah.
be the one that comes and first round's up and I'm still there. So I was not, I was afraid of that one. I literally did not know. All they would give me, information they would give me is 1 to 3, you'll be the first fullback taken. And then someone would say that, some teams have you as a running back. And Washington was one of those teams, but they had whatever I got Riggins. They had Riggins, and he was
Still,
ending.
John Riggins.
Yeah, he was ending his. It was the end of his season, end of his career. So
Yeah,
they wanted somebody, for him. So it made sense. I thought that was it. I thought that was it. But I did not know. It was like 1 to 3. That was just it. I don't.
yeah.
It was a rough one.
So they had that. So they had that room back when you were. I
Yes.
didn't know how far back that went.
Yes, they had it, and they asked me if I wanted to come.
Wow.
And I was like, I don't know. I would want to come, but I don't want to be there.
I don't want.
Yeah,
I don't want to be that cat.
yeah. Now let me tell you, Matt, what years were you at Michigan State?
I was there 85 through 89.
Okay, so we played against each other. Yeah, we played against each other. Chase, did you say 2015?
I got drafted in the 2009 draft.
Oh.
So 2015 was the year that I was with the Seahawks.
God, man. Dave.
See?
What years were you playing, Dave?
88 and 89.
God.
Yeah, I told you I was old.
Yeah, I mean, but it's 91. But when he said 2015, I said 2015.
Yeah. I told you, Chase and Walter are young, man.
Oh God.
Yep.
Oh, geez.
Hey guys, real quick, and first of all, thank you guys all for joining. Thank you guys for all sharing your stories. Giving people that watch this show the insight that they don't get on, frankly, anything else, and that's just personal experience, and what we go through as athletes, and the angst and all this stuff. We can only do so much, but then it's up to people outside of us to determine our paths, and then how do we navigate that. So thank you guys for doing that. Now I know this is like pre-camp. This is pre-everything. Chase, who are the top 2 teams going to the Super Bowl this year? And the reason I'm asking you is because I almost got it. I had Denver and Seattle pre-pick, and I actually was pretty doggone close. Who do you think, Chase?
Yeah, that was golly. Oh man.
I'm putting you on the spot. Now you guys, the other guys get
Yeah,
to
you
think about
are.
it.
I being Hawk Talk, I don't want to say the Rams, but
Hey, you just got to call it. You just got to call it, brother. It's all right.
man, they look tough, and Stafford coming off an MVP season.
Yeah.
And I do think the Broncos are going to be back in that conversation. They're going to be another year stronger, another year. I think there's a lot of mistakes that they made um, that they can learn from and still have a pretty good core, especially with Nix at quarterback and Sean Payton.
Yeah. Well, him getting injured too didn't help things. But all right. So
Yeah.
you're Denver Rams.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll have you back on to lambaste you when you get that wrong.
Oh, yeah,
Walter,
no,
Walter, who do you got preseason going to the Super Bowl?
I like Denver. I think Denver kind of.
Wow.
Yeah, I think they build on from what they had last season. I mean, they were a game away, and I think they get in there. They make the Super Bowl competitive within that. Very unfortunate that Bo Nix went down there, Oregon Duck there, but yeah, I think they have something to prove, right? They got in there. They were close. NFC. Yeah, I mean, Seahawks
Just
have.
do it.
I know Seahawks have a lot of pieces coming back, and I think that's what it makes it tough to go against the Seahawks because they do have so many people coming back, and they were able to replace and fill those needs that with Kenneth Walker being gone, some of the corners, a lot of their core is still there. So I think they're the team to beat. Obviously, coming off a Super Bowl, you have a shorter window time of recovery and getting ready into the flow of things. So I can see it being maybe potentially a slow start, and then they kind of pick up like they did kind of last year. And I think they're in a solid position. But I think the NFC is going to be NFC West is going to be tough. I mean, the Rams are coming back looking for blood. I mean, we escaped past them twice. The Niners are going to be coming for blood. So it's not going to be easy path by any means.
I think the Super Bowl goes through the NFC West. I think that's going to be the thing. Matt, who do you think? Are the Cowboys finally make an appearance?
Absolutely, Cowboys, Patriots.
So give me the two. Who do you got going in?
Cowboys, Patriots.
Oh wow!
Okay. I think Patriots come back competitive as well.
Man, they got a chance, but they got way too much going on, extracurriculars right now.
Yeah.
Just make it in the playoffs. Just make it there.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful the defense changes a little bit.
So Jared, frankly, I know you played for the Giants and the Raiders. Frankly, neither team has done anything since you played. So, are you beholden to either one? Who do you think is going to make their way to the Super Bowl this year?
Funny you say that, but I think the Giants will be a surprise team. I think they'll be on the up if they may even make the playoffs. I think the team that's to be watching is the Chargers and the Rams, and I think that Seattle has a chance to repeat.
Yeah.
You said the Chargers?
Chargers is the team that I'm looking for.
Yep.
But I do still think that Seattle has a chance to repeat. I like the Rams too. And I think the Giants will be a surprise.
Hey, Jerry, you're from LA, right?
No, I'm not from LA, but I live here, right? But I just think it's about time that the Chargers look.
Yeah.
Look what Harbaugh did the first year with not as much talent, and then the second year, I mean, people were spoiled that what he did with the first year. So.
Hey guys, the show's almost over. Whoever's alarm's going off, we'll be done in a second. Or is the microwave done? Did someone put some post toasties in? So we got everybody, right? We got everybody. So I was going to try to get our odds maker Raphael on, but I'm glad we didn't because we wouldn't have had enough time for him tonight. For the last 2 seasons, I've picked Seattle with the over. It's been a no-brainer. The reason why we keep winning is because I don't gamble. Because if I put a nickel on any of my bets, we would lose. So it's easy for me to predict, and I'm going to stick with who I had last year going into it. It's going to be a Denver Seattle rematch, or not rematch, but it's going to be there. I think Seattle did all the right moves. They're going to build on their momentum, yeah, the Rams are going to be tough. I can see us splitting with the Rams, and the Niners. I didn't really see what they did in that season, but I know they made some moves to solidify some things, and gosh, man, it's just that's going to be the three. It's going to be. I don't see anyone else even in the discussion in the NFC, to be honest. But hey, guys, thanks again. I know it's late. I know most of you have kids, and I appreciate your time. Chase, congratulations, Chase, on being nominated to represent the former players advisory board in our meetings with the current players moving forward. And I think you were the perfect selection for it because I voted for you. So congratulations on that, and the couple extra days stay in Maui when we go out there. So that's cool. I'm sure the kids are happy.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, they get to watch Wales for a couple more days. Matt, it's always good hanging out with you, brother. Appreciate you coming in. Jared, thank you, man. And hey, congratulations on a great meeting. You had your PA meeting last weekend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Had
yeah,
92-year-old Rosie Greer came too.
oh, did he really?
Yes.
Oh man,
93 years old.
what a treat.
Ooh.
You know what? Okay, I'm going to share something real quick. My mom, you guys know what needlepoint is?
Yeah. He's a
Rosie
needle
Greer used to needlepoint. Yes. My mom talked me in to needle pointing because when I was a kid and I was watching Rosie Greer in the blue and white, and Deacon Jones and all, and so I did me some needlepoint. I did it, but I figured, hey, if no one's gonna tell Rosie Greer you ain't a man because you're needlepoint, I'm gonna be down with it. I'm okay. But that's awesome, man. I'm glad he was able to make it. And Walter's always good to see you, brother. I appreciate you guys. And so we have to end the show like we always end it. How do we end it? Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.
Go
Chase,
Hawks.
you can say it.
Go Hawks. I think I was covering my phone. Go Hawks.